and welcome back to Maple Madness. My name is Kate Bodiker.
And I'm Isaac Sawatzky.
And this is episode 2 of our thrilling coverage of March Madness this year. We have a lot of exciting content coming up. Now, a lot has happened since we saw you last, so let's just get right into it.
Yeah, I will say, before we get started, this has been the bracket of chalk. There haven't been that many big upsets, no Cinderella stories really going into this year. So, I mean, if you pick the higher seed, you're doing quite well. If you went for a more risky bracket, it hasn't worked out as well this year as it has in years past. There still are some notable upsets, but not as many, and not any really going into the second weekend of the tournament. Mm-hmm. So let's get right into it.
Absolutely.
This is my bracket first. Keep in mind, I went off jerseys. It destroys me to say that the best jersey doesn't win.
Unfortunately, a lot of red on that bracket.
A lot of red, including my national champion, New Mexico. But hey, we have one Sweet 16 team left. Kate, what does yours look like?
That's true. Well, honestly, not looking a whole ton better, but Auburn still doing okay. I just got to get them through.
National champion.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Just got to get them through. But otherwise, yeah, not great, but this wasn't my worst section, I have to say.
I mean, I will say there isn't much red here at all. No. I mean, first round, you only got one game wrong in the first round.
Yeah, this was, although prepare for a little bit more as we, this was sort of my best section, but we'll see.
Keep on moving.
More.
Yep.
All right, not as bad. Got a little less,
It's still pretty bad. It's another Final Four team gone for me. Notable for this one, BYU with a big upset over Wisconsin. They've been playing really well recently. They're in that trapezoid of excellence, if you know what I'm talking about with college basketball. So they're doing well. They're doing well. Duke is still looking dominant. They're looking hard to beat, like a clear favorite going forward. It's gonna be hard to get a bet against Duke.
Yeah. Again, as I said, you're observing perhaps a little bit worse situation here for me. And, Mississippi State had going into the final matchup, so a little unfortunate to lose them. Yeah. But yeah, again, you'll see this is pretty consistent as we go throughout the rest of my bracket. Just didn't quite shape up maybe how I would have hoped it would.
Yeah. Yep. Alabama got off to a shaky start against Robert Morris in that first round game. We thought we might have another 15 upset over 2, but a late surge from Alabama. They didn't want to play Grant Nelson in that game, but he said sub me and coach with 8 minutes to go, and really made an impact to close it out, and then they were able to sneak by St. Mary's going into that second round. There's just interesting game to point out from this region.
Yeah, I was a little nervous. In my other bracket that I have Alabama going all the way, so I was a little like, I hope it doesn't fall apart. But yes, my attractiveness bracket, which is doing better, surprisingly. So I guess maybe hotness matters a little bit more than fighting abilities as a coach. It would seem so far. But
hotness matters more than jerseys, sadly.
I guess so. All right.
Oh, it pains me.
Now.
I don't even want to look. Next year is our year.
Yeah, no, a little worse for wear looking here, and I think you'll see a pretty consistent theme moving on to my West as well.
Florida, UConn in that second round to me has been the game of the tournament so far. Players making plays. It took a lot for Florida to upset the back-to-back national champions, but they did it, and they're also looking. I think. Right now, the 2 best teams going into the second weekend are Florida and Duke, for sure.
Yeah, like we talked about, a lot of people have their brackets riding on Florida, and we'll hear a little bit more about that later on as well. But yeah, again, clearly the West, not my place to be. A lot of red on this one, so not my finest hour, but you know what? That's okay. We move on. I got to keep the memories of the South in my head and stick with that. And hope that's
no
more
Sweet
true.
16 teams at all.
No, unfortunately not.
No.
But
oh well.
That's all right.
Moving on.
Doing a little bit better here.
Yeah.
Midwest treating you all right?
Yeah. No. This definitely has been my best bracket for sure. Based off jerseys, based off jerseys. Which points, by the way? How's your points looking like?
Right now, for this bracket, I'm at 250, but I'm not looking at a lot more in terms of possible overall points. It really has taken a bit of a nosedive for me.
But you still have your national champion.
Absolutely, so that's going to be crucial. Auburn's got to keep it alive for me.
Yeah. What's you?
Yeah. So again, you'll notice perhaps a bit more red, just not the best, but coming in, doing like at least one team, not
No
my
Sweet
best,
16
but
teams, though.
Yeah, no, really not.
No.
Not ideal, but sometimes that's how it goes. That's the beauty of the bracket, And again, that's why they call it madness. You never quite know what's going to happen. Got to keep it fun. Got to keep it games exciting,
Except there hasn't been much madness this year, as I said. So, because looking at this Final Four, we have a 10 seed, a 7 seed, a 5 seed, all gone. The only one left is a 1 seed. So, in 2008, it's the only year where all number 1 seeds made it to the Final Four. Are we set for a repeat this year?
It's a good question.
Possibly, but
it does look like it's maybe shaping up that way, but
looking rough for me right now.
Yeah.
Looking rough. I mean, I'm at 380 points. The max I can get, 580.
Ooh. See, I at least still have a little more hope in the possible points, but
that's where you gotta
doing
look.
worse right now.
That's where you gotta look.
But notably, Auburn keeping it alive for me.
Go.
Also down 3 in my Final Four, which is maybe not where I would want to be at this stage of the game, going into the Sweet 16. But I gotta just put my faith in Auburn, really cheer them on in all their games. I haven't been able to watch quite as many games as I wanted to, but still has been it's been fun. I always like to have somebody to cheer for, have a reason to be invested.
That's right.
Yeah. So we did get a chance, speaking of brackets and bracket competitions, Isaac, and I was there too, but Isaac got a chance to talk to some people on campus, including one very special guest that we had coming up. So this is quite the teaser. I'm sure you'll know who it is when she appears. But got a chance to talk to some people about how they're making their brackets and who they're looking forward to hopefully winning it all. I must say, a lot of their contenders probably a little less realistic than others, but we'll go ahead and take a look at that right now.
Is there a fun way that you filled out your bracket this year?
No, it was really last minute. In fact, it was after they had already started, but I hadn't seen any scores, and Justin Raymer was like, "Hey, Brian, did you fill out a bracket?" So he gave me one, and we bet drinks on it.
Did you fill out a bracket for March Madness?
Yes.
Was there a special way that you did it?
No, just other than basic analysis.
How did you make your bracket?
For the men's, I kind of just go with my gut, and usually I'm wrong. But for women's, I'm typically a little bit better at choosing. There's a lot less upsets in the women's bracket, which makes it a little easier, but yeah.
Did you fill out a bracket for March Madness?
Hell yeah, I filled out a bracket.
Did you fill out a bracket this year for March Madness?
I did.
Was there any special way that you filled it out?
Yes, I took Michigan all the way, as always.
Go Blue, right?
Go Blue. Go Blue. They're going to beat Duke in the final, 93-92. I'm calling it right now.
You heard it here first. Do you guys fill out brackets for March Madness?
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did.
Was there a fun way that you filled them out?
I picked random teams.
I'm actually the exact same, bro. I don't know anything about basketball.
Did you fill out a bracket for March Madness?
Yes, I did.
Was there a fun way that you filled it out?
There was an option to do it by mascot, so I did do it that way. I think I had Duke winning that one.
Who do you have winning March Madness?
Florida. Go Gators.
Why do you have Florida?
Because they're just a well-rounded team.
Fair enough. You're right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I can think of a lot of things to be mad about today, but mostly I want everyone to be sure that they go and see Rent because we have one more weekend. So if we're winning something, Rent is winning the musical theater sweepstakes in Goshen right now.
Who do you want to win, though?
I'm going to have to go with the University of Waterloo from Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario. I think they had a really, really strong regular season, and I think they're in a really good position to take the chip this year.
Wise words. Thank you, Ben. Who do you want to win March Madness?
I don't care a lot about basketball at the national level. I care a lot about our basketball programs, but I would say in the men's side, I would go for Purdue, and on the women's side, Notre Dame, just going local.
Wow, a lot of insight from the GC community there. I think some of those picks may be a little more likely than other ones, but I'm also noticing some common themes, so we'll just have to see how things end up shaking out. Again, still lots of tournament left to play.
Some common themes, the increased support of women's basketball.
Absolutely.
Lots of Notre Dame women's fans around here. big fan of the University of Waterloo this year. I think they have a great chance of going all the way. I'm super excited. He brought some insightful knowledge about the team, and so that's awesome.
Yeah, I never would have guessed. And like you said, with women's basketball, I had a lot of fun making my women's bracket. Actually, it's currently my best bracket, doing far better than my men's ones. So
yeah, shout out my cousin Cormac, who through the first 2 days of the women's tournament was in the top 4,000 brackets in the world. He had missed a total of 1 game.
It's pretty impressive.
And then it's gone downhill since there. But through 2 days, he was killing it. So shout out Cormac.
You know what? We're bringing some guests on later. Maybe we'll have to see if he wants to come talk about his women's bracket. But speaking of guests, we actually have a guest coming up in the studio here right after this. We're going to be hearing from our awesome Globe pal, Alyssa McDonald, walking us through her bracket, how things have been going for her, and how she foresees the end of this tournament playing out. So we'll hear from Alyssa right now.
Thanks, Kate and Isaac. Notably, behind me, my bracket is totally busted, and I picked mine on the cuteness of the head coaches, which arguably isn't probably the best way to pick a March Madness bracket. As you can see, we'll start in the West. My West, 0 for however many games are over here in the West. I didn't pick a single game right. So we're just going to forget about that. Don't look at that. We're going to move up to the South. Very proud of Auburn and Creighton. I got all those right. I did get a handful. Very happy with my Ole Miss. I still have a chance, as we can see, for Ole Miss to take some more points in the South. However, coming out of the South, I had Texas A&M, and they are notably no longer in the tournament, which is very unfortunate. But that's all good. Moving over to the East, which I thought was the hardest bracket to pick. There were a lot of cutie pies in the East. It was very difficult, and I am from Utah, and I did have BYU moving on, so I was very happy that I got that right, even though I am a University of Utah fan. However, I do have Alabama losing. As we can see, I had Montana coming out of the East. I actually had Montana going all the way, winning the tournament, which unfortunately, as we can see in red, can no longer happen. That's very sad. But moving on to the Midwest, notably did pick McNeese right, even though I wasn't going on stats, I was going on the cutie pie-ness of the coach. So I was very proud of McNeese, but unfortunately, they did lose in the next round. So my whole Midwest is messed up as well. I also didn't think the Houston coach was very cutie pie, and that kind of messed me up in the long run as well. So was this fun? I think this was a really fun way to pick my bracket. Also, I did miss the NCAA's website for picking your bracket. So I had to fill out this bracket on PDF by hand, which I actually think was a lot more fun than picking a bracket just by clicking on the teams. I think it made me think about my answers a lot more, and actually typing them in and having to go through and highlight and cross out was a lot more fun. So I think in the future, I will actually be doing my brackets by hand and not on the NCAA website. But so let's cover this up. We don't need to see this. But Kate and Isaac will send it back to you. I'm sure your brackets are doing much better than mine. And best of luck as the tournament continues.
Thanks so much, Alyssa. Very insightful, and I know we're all looking forward to what's coming up as well. So that's going to do it for this episode of Maple Madness, but make sure to tune back in next week for an update on the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, and our own bracket competition, of course, with lots of previews coming up for the Final Four as well.
Next week, we'll have a new guest in the studio, and we will see who our GC community has wing it all.
Well, that's it for this episode. We'll see you next week for even more Maple Madness.